This marks the 17th part of this manhwa. If you haven't viewed the previous parts, you can access it by clicking the I button located above, or the link is provided in description. Let's aim for 200 likes on today's video. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's begin our recap video for today's manhwa. Meanwhile, at the dungeon gate, 2 soldiers were stationed at a gate. One soldier inquired about the time and expressed frustration over the delay caused by the Randalls, a group known for their tardiness. The second soldier, dismissing concerns about the absence of the Randall standby team, implied they were likely just neglecting their duties. When the first soldier questioned why the Randalls were in charge of the gate, the second soldier noticed them arriving and called out for their tardiness. At that moment, both soldiers were attacked by an individual they assumed was from the Randall, but who was actually from the Imperial Hound. Additional members of the Imperial Hound arrived, confirming there were no more witnesses and preparing to initiate chaos by disrupting the gate's control. The scene then moved to a prison where Kane was taken aback by the information from a captured member of the Imperial Hound. In disbelief, Kane asked the prisoner to repeat what he had said. The prisoner revealed that the Imperial Hounds had already infiltrated the entire kingdom and that their plan was in motion. When Kane questioned if the recent attacks on the gates and guilds were merely provocations, the prisoner clarified that these actions were not intended to provoke but were preparations for a war. He ominously stated that the war would commence that night, targeting the heart of Reborn. Upon learning the imminent threat from the Imperial Hound, Kane without disguised himself as Alfredo Gray and rushed out of the prison cell. The guards, surprised and trying to stop him, were unable to catch up as he fled. Kane's thoughts were filled with dread as he realized that everything had been orchestrated for war and that Reborn Kingdom was on the brink of falling that night. Meanwhile, within the gate, Nokia, using a potion and wielding draconic magic, advanced towards the armored boar. Josh, witnessing the unfolding situation, remarked on the unusual and alarming events. Raul, observing Nokia's formidable power and the tremors shaking the dungeon, speculated that her strength might be enough to defeat the boss in a single blow. Raul, turning around, saw the boss monster laughing off his attack, which he had blocked with his sword. Realizing that the boss monster was targeting Nokia, Raul instructed his team to prevent the monster from disrupting her efforts, urging them to deny the boss any opportunities. As his team prepared to engage the boss monster, Nokia unleashed a draconic magic attack. Her powerful spell decimated all the armored boars in front of her and created a tunnel through her magic. Her team members were stunned by the sheer magnitude and effectiveness of her attack. Raul, impressed by Nokia's overwhelming power, thought to himself that she had exceeded his expectations by annihilating the wild boars with a single spell. He noted that the boss monster's attempt to stop her indicated it was threatened by her magic. Exhausted from her powerful spell, Nokia was about to collapse, but Josh caught her, expressing concern for her well-being. Jake remarked on Nokia's solo achievement, and Philip was astonished. Raul instructed Josh to look after Nokia, which Josh confirmed he would do. Raul then praised Nokia for saving them all. As the boss monster charged for another attack, Raul and his team readied themselves in formation. Raul assured her, "Leave the rest to them," signaling their readiness to confront the boss monster. At the western border of Reborn Kingdom, Dylan, after defeating the last orc, inquired about the situation. The knight captain reported that there were no significant threats, with no monsters or wild animals present. Dylan expressed confusion, noting that they had been warned about a massive wave of monsters approaching the border, but had only encountered a few orcs and goblins. He also questioned the location of the Templeton Knights, who were said to be at the northern border. The knight captain confirmed that the Templeton Knights had received an urgent order from the Royal Intelligence. Dylan noted that the presence of the Swordmaster and his knights at the northern border suggested the possibility of a significant threat, like a dragon. He expressed a feeling that something was amiss despite the apparent calm. The knight captain agreed that something felt off, explaining that while knights are typically dispatched to handle monsters, It was unusual for elite knight orders to be sent to the borders. This unusual deployment of main forces could leave the capital vulnerable. Although the McNeil and Randall knights remained in the capital, the situation still posed a potential danger. Dylan pondered the situation and decided they would continue searching until sunrise. He instructed the knight captain to form two scout teams, one to inform his father and the other to head to the capital. When the knight captain questioned the need to send a team to the capital, Dylan explained that they should secretly investigate the situation there due to his uneasy feeling. Meanwhile, inside the gate, the boss monster launched a ranged attack that Raul had blocked with his sword. The boss then commanded his team to launch their attack. Philip and Jake leaped into the air, launching sword attacks at the boss monster, but their strikes were blocked and they were pushed back. Pierce seized the opportunity to slide in and shoot arrows at the boss, only for the boss to catch them, surprising Pierce before kicking him away. The boss then pushed Philip and Jake aside, but they quickly repositioned to attack again. However, the boss monster swiftly targeted Jake with a powerful attack, sending him flying back. Philip, concerned for Jake, turned to check on him, but was attacked by the boss monster, causing him to fall to the ground. Raul then charged forward and landed a sword attack on the boss, but the injury was minor. In response, the boss monster roared and struck the ground with a powerful hit, creating an explosion that blasted everyone backward due to the force of the air pressure. As the dust cleared, Pierce asked Jake if he could move, to which Jake confidently replied that he was fine and that it was nothing. Pierce noted the battle was more challenging than anticipated, with the boss monster's agility despite its size making it difficult to handle. He remarked that this monster was likely the strongest they had encountered inside the gates. Meanwhile, Raul checked on Philip's condition and asked if he could continue fighting. Philip confirmed he could and warned Raul that this monster was different from previous guardians they had faced. Raul explained that the monster's increased strength was due to a sudden release of restricted mana, making it technically a rank C guardian. He encouraged his team not to give up, emphasizing that facing stronger opponents presents opportunities for growth and that overcoming this monster was part of their path as first knights. Raul gave the order for Jake and Pierce to wait for his signal before attacking, aiming to defeat the monster swiftly. Both Jake and Pierce confirmed their readiness. Philip warned Raul that the monster's quick reflexes made it difficult to find an opening. Raul, confident and eager to utilize a particular strategy, reassured his team. He then instructed the system to activate Radiant Aura, preparing to use this ability to gain an advantage in the fight. When Raul activated Radiant Aura, a pair of golden wings appeared on his back, stunning the boss monster. Philip observed the display of radiance, while Pierce and Jake felt their bodies healing, recognizing it as the skill Raul had used. Jose reflected on how impressive Raul was, recalling that this skill was demonstrated during a ceremony. Raul, acknowledging it was his first time using this skill in combat, expressed his need for his subordinates' assistance. He thanked them for their bravery and dedication, declaring it was the least he could do in return. He urged them to finish the fight, noting they had spent too much time in the gate. As the boss monster charged at Raul, he evaded the attack by jumping into the air and then launched his own attack, which the boss monster blocked with its axe. The boss monster quickly pushed Raul back with a fast axe attack. Raul noted the monster's speed, recognizing it as a raid-level threat, but resolved to hold it down until it made a mistake. He focused on blocking the monster's attacks. Meanwhile, Josh placed Nokia by a rock to support her as she sat. He asked if she was awake, and she confirmed she was. Seeing Raul fighting the boss monster, Nokia grew concerned for him. Jake, noticing that Raul was fighting alone, questioned if they should assist. Pierce reminded Jake of Raul's orders to wait for a signal and emphasized the need to trust their master. As Raul continued to fight the boss monster, he blocked its attacks while thinking he needed just a bit more time. He considered using his psychokinesis on the boss's weapon. Raul then applied psychokinesis to the boss monster's weapon, creating intense pressure that forced the monster to the ground. Realizing the threat, the boss monster threw away its axe. Seizing the opportunity, Raul gave the order for everyone to attack. Pierce fired an arrow that struck the boss monster, making it scream in pain. Philip and Jake then rushed in and delivered a powerful combined attack that severely injured the monster. Raul followed up with a final strike, finishing the boss and causing it to collapse. Exhausted, Raul sat down and stored his sword in his inventory, remarking that it had been a close fight. Philip checked on him, asking if he was okay. Raul responded that he was fine, but needed a brief rest. Jake expressed concern that Raul had overexerted himself, noting that Raul had even used an area of effect healing skill to aid them. Raul replied that he couldn't have defeated the raid monster alone and emphasized the importance of his team's support. He also mentioned that he felt the need to contribute significantly, especially since Nokia had done so much for them. At that moment, Bernard contacted Raul through the guild platform, asking if he could hear him. Raul recognized Bernard's voice and inquired about the issue. Bernard informed Raul that there was a problem. The capital and the royal palace were under attack. At the Ruben Kingdom Palace, the scene was grim with soldiers' dead bodies scattered around. The king confronted his son, Herdian D. Ruben, who was threatening him and had killed his brothers. The king asked why Herdian was doing this, questioning his sanity. Herdian explained that his actions were for the future of the kingdom. He argued that the king's worsening illness made him unfit to rule, and that his brothers were inadequate successors. Herdian believed someone had to take drastic measures to save the kingdom. The king, trembling and sweating, questioned whether Herdian's idea of saving the kingdom involved aligning with the empire. Herdian declared that it was time to end the conflict with the empire and promised peace between the kingdom and the empire under his rule. At that moment, Carson arrived at the palace and launched a surprise attack on the empire's soldiers, killing them before they could react. He then turned his attention to Herdian, but Herdian blocked Carson's attack. Herdian acknowledged Carson, referring to him as the president of the Knights Association. Carson, enraged, shouted at Herdian, calling him a traitor. Herdian remarked that he had been informed that all obstacles in the capital obstructing the revolution had been dealt with, implying that Carson was not among those obstacles. Meanwhile, Carson ordered the soldiers to bring the injured king to safety. The soldiers began evacuating the king. Herdian dismissed the effort as futile, stating there was no safe place left in the palace or the capital. Carson countered that while the situation might seem dire now, Herdian would ultimately lose if they could just hold out. Herdian scoffed at the idea of holding out, dismissing the possibility of reinforcements from Templeton or Ashton arriving, claiming they would not come. Carson retorted that Herdian was mistaken and that Templeton and Ashton were already en route as the kingdom's saviors. Meanwhile, at the gate, 2 Imperial hounds were on guard. The first Imperial hound questioned why they were stationed there, confident that no one would escape that night. The second Imperial hound agreed, believing their plan was flawless. The first hound then expressed curiosity about the situation in the capital, suggesting it was likely more interesting. Raul emerged from the gate and swiftly attacked the Imperial hounds, killing them before they could respond. He realized that the presence of Imperial hounds at the gate indicated Bernard's warning was accurate. If the borders were under such threat, the capital itself was likely in grave danger. He concluded they needed to act quickly. Jack, also coming out of the gate, questioned why the Imperial hounds were present instead of the Randalls. Philip speculated that the Randalls had been defeated. Pierce disagreed, noting that if the Randalls had been taken out, there would be visible signs of it, and the area was too clean. Josh then suggested that the Randalls might have fled. Kane arrived at the gate and reassured them that the Randalls hadn't fled. They didn't need to. He expressed relief at Raul's safe return. Raul then inquired about the situation, seeking more information. Kane explained that the situation was dire, revealing that the Imperial hounds, who had been hiding in the capital, had launched an attack. He confirmed that the Randalls were leading the Imperial Hounds in the assault on the capital, verifying that the Randalls were indeed collaborating with them. The revelation that the Randalls were collaborating with the Imperial Hounds shocked everyone. Raul reflected on the situation, recalling the Reuben Kingdom Rebellion, a historical incident where key factions within the kingdom conspired with the Empire to stage a rebellion and seize the throne, leading to the ruin of Ashton County. He questioned whether his own actions had accelerated the Empire's plans. Raul then asked about Bernard and the Knights. Kane reported that Bernard and Harmer had led their forces out, but it was challenging to approach the palace due to the absence of the kingdom's main forces in the capital. Raul acknowledged that the Randalls' significant role in the rebellion made sense given the circumstances. Jack, infuriated, demanded that they take action against the rebels, expressing his frustration over their alliance with the Empire. Pierce advised him to remain calm, noting that they were low on stamina and mana, and would be ineffective if they rushed in immediately. While they were discussing their next steps, Josh helped Nokia by setting her down nearby and told her to rest. Nokia thanked him. Meanwhile, Jake was visibly distressed by their depleted stamina and mana, worrying about their ability to continue. Philip asked Nokia if she had any potions remaining. Nokia responded that she did, but they would be ineffective as everyone had already reached their daily dose limit. Taking more could even cause side effects. Kane speculated that the rebels had planned the situation to eliminate any obstacles that could interfere with their plans. Raul, realizing that he couldn't use radiant aura due to their exhaustion and the energy spent in the gate, was concerned about their next steps and what they should do. A system window appeared, showing a request from librarian Ravel to use a rank D mana stone from the inventory, asking Raul for approval. Raul was surprised by this and wondered about its significance. At that moment, a book materialized in front of him. Ravel emerged from the book and greeted Raul, acknowledging that he seemed to be in trouble and noting that it had been a while since they last met. Raul, recognizing her, responded with surprise and asked how she was. In the capital, soldiers' lifeless bodies were scattered on the ground as one person worked to save a woman and her child from the Imperial Hounds. One Imperial Hound member, surprised to see someone still resisting, asked if the person's knighthood affiliation was known. Another member dismissed the inquiry, suggesting they should simply eliminate him. The third member revealed that the person had been part of Carrington County's nobility's personal guard, but had quit after the gate incident. He remarked that if the person had stayed, he could have been part of the ongoing revolution. Marco, reflecting on the situation, questioned whether Carrington was involved in the rebellion and collaborating with the Empire. With Templeton and Ashton at the border and McNeil and Greer's whereabouts unknown, he feared that the only force left to oppose the rebellion were the guards, contemplating whether this was the end. The Imperial Hound member threatened the person, assuming he would have rejected any offer to join the rebellion and promising a quick end. At that moment, Dalton arrived from behind and confronted the Imperial Hounds, questioning their audacity. He then swiftly defeated all the Imperial Hound members with a single, efficient sword attack before they could react. Dalton's swift defeat of the Imperial Hounds astonished everyone. Dalton expressed regret for killing all the hounds, wishing he had spared one for interrogation. Turning to Marco, Dalton recognized him as a knight from Carrington and asked if he was indeed Marco. Marco confirmed his identity and expressed surprise that Dalton was still in the capital, given that he thought the Templeton Knights were stationed at the northern border. Dalton explained that he had sneaked out of the northern border, noting how difficult it had been to avoid detection and expressing surprise at the turn of events in the capital. Marco agreed with Dalton's assessment. The woman expressed her gratitude to Marco for saving them. Marco redirected her thanks to Dalton, indicating that Dalton was the one who had truly helped. The woman's child asked if the Templeton knighthood would protect them. Marco, feeling anxious, did not respond. Dalton, however, explained that the Templeton Knights could not provide protection as they were far from the capital. He reassured them by mentioning that Raul, the guardian of Turium, was present, implying that he would provide the necessary protection. Meanwhile, at the gate, Ravel greeted Raul, questioning whether he had forgotten about her. Raul responded by asking if Ravel was now okay. Ravel assured Raul that she was fine, her mana overflowing due to Raul's earlier assistance, and expressed her gratitude. Raul expressed his relief and happiness that she has recovered and is feeling better. Ravel, noticing how tired everyone was and recognizing their predicament, requested to borrow the mana stone to help them. Jake, puzzled by Raul's conversation with seemingly no one, asked if Raul was okay. Raul realized that Jake couldn't see Ravel, but chose not to explain. Instead, he turned back to Ravel and asked if she could help them with their current situation. Ravel confirmed that Raul could trust her. Josh, confused by Raul's use of the guild comm and who he was talking to, voiced his concerns. Nokia noticed Ravel and speculated that Raul might be communicating with someone important, suggesting they wait and let him sort things out. Jake agreed to wait. Ravel explained to Raul that she could use the mana stone to temporarily heal everyone with her spirit spell, which would bypass their potion immunity. She clarified that temporarily meant she would forcefully increase their maximum stamina, emphasizing the need to finish their mission before sunrise. Raul asked Ravel if she could indeed use the mana stone to help them. He then addressed his party members, stressing the urgency due to the capital's dire situation. He acknowledged their exhaustion but assured them he had a way to boost everyone's stamina. Raul promised to explain further later but warned that the upcoming fight would be different and that their safety couldn't be guaranteed. He asked if they were still willing to fight with him. All party members, despite their fatigue, agreed enthusiastically. Meanwhile, in the capital, guards were engaged in combat with the Imperial Hounds. One guard urged another not to retreat, emphasizing the need to protect the civilians behind them and to hold the line. One Imperial Hound member questioned the recklessness of their enemies, wondering why they were fighting so hard when their fate seemed doomed. Another Hound commented that there was no one left to assist them, asserting that the kingdom was already under the Empire's control. Meanwhile, Raul used his psychokinesis to attack the Imperial Hounds from behind with multiple swords. This unexpected intervention surprised the guards. Raul then rallied the defenders by shouting, "Awaken their dormant bravery, warriors of the Ruben Kingdom. The first night is here." This marks the conclusion of the 17th part of this manhwa. The 18th part will be uploaded soon, so remember to like and subscribe to the channel for future update. Leave comments to share your experience. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.